Okay, so just this update. New York City has delayed the opening of their schools. The remote teaching will start a week later than they had anticipated, and the in-school hybrid, the way that New York City and look, this is the biggest school district in the country that is going to have. I think California, I think LA is number one, but the biggest that's going to have any in-person teaching in the country. And it also has one of the lowest infection rates in terms of like a city, a big city.
As of now.
Right? Yeah. Right now, I think the positive rate is somewhere around like 0.6%, which is very low. The R naught is something like 0.93 or 95, I think. Changes every day, 93, 94, 95, somewhere around there, which means that each person who has COVID is transmitting it to less than one person. And the teachers were going to go on strike because they can't get into the building until I think in a couple of days. Mm-hmm. And school's supposed to start in less than a week, in-person teaching.
Right.
And teachers needed more time. Principals needed more time. And people should be aware that there are, I think it's like 150,000 kids in the New York, there's like 1.4 million kids. If these are just numbers off my top of my head, so they may be a little bit off. I think like 140,000 kids are homeless who go to school there. There's
prior to COVID.
This is prior to COVID, yeah.
Right.
100, I think like something like 700,000 get free lunch from the school system, and so there's a lot of pressure. De Blasio, I don't think, has handled this particularly well, but there's a lot of pressure on him to get the schools open. Although part-time, I don't know what that's supposed to do, frankly. Yeah. But I would have done it very differently. But so the teachers were going to strike. I think De Blasio basically said, "Okay, we're going to open it up." It could have been, on some level, it could have been a strategy from the beginning: get people to think the deadline is here, and then they get an extra week or two, actually, in terms of like, I think it's 2 weeks delay on in-person, and then they're going to start the week. But in Florida, they don't pay attention to any of this. They don't care about COVID. They're all superhuman. There were 9,000 new COVID cases among children, 15 days, within 15 days of their schools opening. In Florida. And that number, I think, was from a couple of days ago because I think they opened up in like the first week of August. I've got friends who they're teachers, and their people are all just terrified of going back into school, but I think it's all in person. Here's Ron DeSantis saying, like, I don't care. I don't care. Here he is.
I think that we understand what we need to do, but we will never do any of these lockdowns again. And I hear people say they'll shut down the country, and honestly, I cringe because we know places that have done that. The most draconian lockdown in the world has been Peru, military enforced since March. They have the highest per capita mortality in the world from COVID.
Now, there's things called causal connect. There's a causal and a correlation a problem here. I don't think that the highest number of deaths have taken place because there is a draconian lockdown. That may have happened because there was the highest number of per capita deaths. Let us hope that in Florida, somehow, children are isolated from people who are older so that we do not see an dramatic increase in deaths because of this. The only places where in-school teaching has been sustainable are when the community spread is already very diminished. So New York has a chance. We'll see. If you fly into New York now, it's not rigorous, but it happens. You're supposed to tell people where you come from, and if you've come from just about any state outside of New England, you've got to basically sign in with the whatever county you're going to with the public health, and they send you an email every day or a text saying like, don't, be a jerk, quarantine. And I'm sure that has some help. And I got a test yesterday. I got the results back within 24 hours,
Nice.
Which it also took about 24 hours for my nose to feel normal again.
Right.
But I'm negative. But
Congratulations.
That's great. But then they pumped the school thing, so I'm going to probably have to do it again soon.
My mom has been in town, and she came from Arizona, and she did not get the follow-up calls, which is really concerning because we've been hearing this, but she's like, they didn't take her. This is in New York, in LaGuardia. They didn't take her form, which is what I had to go through. And another friend who just came in from another state had to go through that. This is 2 weeks ago. They did not do that. So I don't know what's changing and how fast, how much of it is just a campaign to kind of instill fear in people. On the other hand, I have a friend who was supposed to fly back to school in Paris 2 days ago and they refused to put him on the plane because he didn't get the test in the required period of time before getting on the plane. So the stuff is changing really fast, and it's very confusing for folks. It's not as easily available as it should be based on where you're going, and it seems like people aren't communicating with each other. And I think the concern with Florida is like, well, okay, you're going to school, but what are the parameters? Like, people are in Miami saying different things than people in Fort Lauderdale.
Well, that's the problem, because we have no national response.
Exactly.
And we have some governors who are hostile to just even like a consistent state response.
Yeah.